Good morning, friends. Hello, Felipe. Good morning, Rodrigo. Can you hear us? Joanne, good morning. Shalom,
Hello,
Leola.
hello,
Shalom, shalom.
Eti.
Can you hear
Shalom.
us? Do you have a good sound coming?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, Eti.
Thank you so much. How do you do today?
I'm fine, Eti. I'm really, really glad to be here with you.
Good. And I'm very happy to be here with you. Such a fascinating times.
Yes,
Good.
here it is. It's a beautiful day down here. It's bright, sunny, and not too hot. It's really, for me. It's the best weather. It's a kind of uh, not too hot and beautiful and bright day.
Good to hear. Good to hear. And Rodrigo, how do you do today?
Oh, I'm fine, Yeti. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to hear your voice and hear Felipe also and our friends. It's amazing to be here. It's a blessing and I'm very grateful to be here. And how are you, Yeti?
I'm fine. I'm very happy to be here with you today. The weather is fine. It's getting summer is at the door, as they say. So there's a lot of adjustment to do because few days ago we had a stream of cold air from Siberia, from Russia, coming through Turkey. Thank you. Rodrigo, can you get closer to the
Yeti, I
mic?
can.
Yes,
Oh, sorry.
Rodrigo?
Yeah, no, I lose your voice, but now it's okay. Now I can hear you.
No,
Now I
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you better. Also, there was something not plugged. Now it's better. Now it's better. Here, Venus is here. Good morning, friends. Good morning. Do you have any questions to ask before we start our interesting session today?
No, at the moment, no. I just wait for you and ready to listen you and to talk with you and our friends. Thank you.
Thank you. Today, I chose a topic that is hovering on my mind for a long time, and I thought to share it with you. What is the connection between three historical events that seemingly does not seem to be connected? One of them is the invention of print. This is the first Bible, the first printed Bible by Gutenberg, Johann Gutenberg. This Bible was published in 1455. Now I will add the relevant dates here. This Bible now, this photo that we have here is from the Library of the Congress in Washington. This is the original. Please pay attention. It was printed in 1455 and 180 books were printed according to this format. Before the invention of print machine, it used to take 3 years to write a Bible by hand. 3 years. So imagine those who could afford to have a book, they probably has to have quite a lot of money to pay for someone to copy for them the Bible, or they have to buy the Bible from someone who wrote it. So only people with a lot of wealth could afford any access to written text. So the first item is Gutenberg's Bible. By the way, it was printed in Latin. It includes the Old Testament and the New Testament. So this is the first item. And please pay attention because I will ask you and us together to connect all the following details together. So yes, this is it. Now here we can see, and who is going to read for us? Who is in the picture? Rodrigo, can you read here?
Yes, Eti.
Yes?
is Isabel first of Castile and Fernando second of Aragon.
Thank you. So those are the king and the queen of Spain. Please pay attention. I'll try to move slowly back. This is, so to speak, a letter that they wrote in 1492. 1492 is a familiar year to you in general? Are you familiar with this year in history?
Yes,
What happened in this year?
the discovery of America.
Yes, Columbus discovers America. Please pay attention. I found this map. This map was drawn in the 1800s. Yes. What is so special in this map? The person who drew this map is showing us how people could perceive the world before Columbus discovered America. The white part here, so to speak, this bubble is the known world to the civilization, so to speak, Western civilization. This is what people used to be familiar with the world. Yes, of course, after the discoveries of Columbus, we have North America. They exist, but we don't know about them yet. Yes, and then we have a new time. Now, maybe you have seen movies or heard musical pieces regarding the discovery of America. But the interesting thing is to look at the original ship in which Columbus discovered America. Today, if we shall look at this ship, we think it's like children game. But please, this is it. This is it. Who would like to read? Maybe Rodrigo. Can you please read the text under the ship, this beautiful baby boat? Can you believe? Google now, and we have, yes, Amazon and Facebook and Washington, all of those things in South America. Look where everything starts. It looks like a shoe, but what is written underneath? Rodrigo.
It's a replica, a functional, the now Santa Maria. It's the ship that Columbus used to came to America, right?
Yes, this baby boat, this baby boat and her sisters or friends, there were a few of them. With them, he made his first, sailing or cruise, and he discovered here America. With those beautiful babies, he discovered 2 new continents and new worlds. Who would have believed? Now, when we look at this ship, I don't even mention, let's say, aircraft carrier, but let's imagine a cruise ship. Just when people are taking a cruise ship to see another continent, it's, I don't know how many times fold bigger than this, but with this beautiful baby, he discovered 2 new continents. Look, it's hard to, it's hard. I just, when I saw this today, I couldn't get over it. Just could
And
not.
see,
Yes.
I just read right now that Columbus, the expedition of Columbus was formed by three
Yes.
ships:
Yes.
Santa Maria, Nina, and Pinta. 3
True.
ships like this.
True.
Just
Sister.
only 3. It's amazing, unbelievable.
Those babies, look. There is a man. Just look at how do you say, relativization? Yes, scale.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Felipe. Look at the man who holds the wheel here. This is his height. Look at his dimension. Here's another
It's
man.
really small.
This is the bell. Those are the sails that are enfolded now. They're not open. Everything is. If people did not know how to navigate in those times, there is no computers. Yes, you have to navigate according to stars or so. And look at this beautiful baby and her 2 sisters, and several, let's say, ambitious men intuitive men and bold men with a lot of courage discovered new continents. It's just a baby
Wow.
shoe. Look, it's hard to believe. Sometimes I used to once knit with wool like a baby's shoes. My friend had a baby, so I knitted for her a baby's socks or shoes. It reminds me of this. With this is the vessel. This is the vessel.
It's amazing. And I wonder that the ships are small and they are easy to, they are light,
Mm-hmm.
You because sometimes I wonder that the crew had to, I don't know the word, had to put this with their arms, let me
Yes.
find the word.
Ammunition, you mean, or supply?
No, to paddle,
Yes.
when there is no wind, you have
Yeah.
to paddle the boat, and it as it's small, it's easier to paddle it, and to make a long trip. I was just thinking, you go to the unknown sea and you go right through it, and you have um, no insurance at all that you will find something. And I guess people imagine they would uh, you know uh, reach the end of the world and fall from like a waterfall or something.
Yes.
And it is they should be afraid.
Yes.
They would they would be really bold to
And Felipe, just to add in this way of thinking, it's unbelievable because they are so small and fragile, and even to carry supplies. And if something uh, had happened, how can I say, a shipwreck,
Yes, a shipwreck. Yes.
history would have changed, a completely different history. The way of the world uh, works, it's amazing, it's unbelievable. Just to say it, just to share. Thank you.
Just to cross, thank you, Rodrigo and Felipe, just to cross the Atlantic, meaning from Spain or Portugal, to cross the Atlantic, and the Atlantic is not a Pacific Ocean, it's not a peaceful ocean like the Pacific. The storms, and they left Europe in August. In mid August in Europe, basically the autumn begins. In mid August, the autumn begins, according to what I experienced in the past. And they left Europe in this date, when autumn begins, to cross the Atlantic with so many storms and streams there. And they arrived. This is a miracle. This is just a miracle. Now,
90 men, 90 men.
90 men
Yes,
and
90. I just read right now.
90 men
Book.
and another one
Yes.
God is 91. This is angel, huh? This is angel. 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 Yes.
amen.
Yes. I think about all of those people who lived, and I visited also America. Like we have met, like there's a great civilization in North and South America. There's a merge of new people coming from Europe and other continents, and native who grew in those continents, North and South. But look, it's just sometimes it's hard to, when we think about to take initiation and to go forward, what nourish this urge or this intuition. It's quite a mystery to do such a thing. Now, please remember that something else also happens in 19 1442. In Spain, in Europe, here is Spain. This is not really accurate. It's more like, I would say, a mature map. But here in Spain, the king and the queen decided to expel communities, Hebrews and Muslims, from Spain. And they have a letter in which they declare their intention. I would like us to read together the text. And after we read the text, try to put all of those things together. The Gutenberg Bible, the discovery of America, and the letter of deportation. Who would like to read the letter?
So I can begin to read it.
Thank you.
Okay. The Alhambra Decree, also known as the Edict of Expulsion, was issued in 1492 by the Catholic monarchs of Spain, Isabella I of Castile and Ferdinand II of Aragon. It ordered the expulsion of all practicing Jews from the kingdoms of Castile and Aragon. Here is the English translation of the Alhambra Decree. King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, by the grace of God, King and Queen of Castile, Leon, Aragon, Sicily, Granada, Toledo, Valencia, Galicia, Mallorca, Seville, Sardinia, Córdoba, Corsica, Murcia, Jaén, Algarve, Algeciras, Gibraltar and the Canary Islands, Counts of Barcelona and Lords of Biscay and Molina. It has come to our attention that in these our kingdoms there have been many reports and complaints against the Jews who in great number live among Christians, practicing their own rites and exercising great influence over the conversation of the baptized Christians. They have been found guilty of causing great harm, seducing and converting Christians to their abominable beliefs and customs. And in order to put an end to this evil, which causes such damage to the purity of the Christian faith and the well-being of our kingdoms, we order the expulsion of all Jews from our kingdoms and prohibit them from ever returning. We command all Jews, both male and female, of whatever age, to leave our kingdoms and never to return, under pain of death and confiscation of all their goods and properties. We also declare that any Christians who choose to remain in contact with Jews or give them shelter or support in any way shall be punished with loss of their property, imprisonment, or even death. We hereby order all Jews to leave our kingdoms within a period of 4 months, counting from the day of the announcement of this edict. They shall sell or dispose of their possessions and shall not take with them gold, silver, or any other goods, whether by sea or land. We extend our protection to those Jews who, before the expiration of the above-mentioned period, decide to convert to the Christian faith. They shall be allowed to remain in our kingdoms and freely exercise their new religion, given in the city of Granada on the 31st day of March in the year of our Lord 192.
Thank you so much.
492.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Just to give us a sense of perspective, Jews are all the. I don't know what you think now when you or people think when they hear the word Jew, but it's about people who have an access to the Hebrew text. They read the Bible in Hebrew, and this is why they call Jews. During the time, many meanings were edited to communities all over the world that are reading the Bible in Hebrew. But it's basically communities who are reading the Bible in Hebrew, and their customs or their culture is around the written Bible in Hebrew. What was added during the years is something else, but this is the focus here. Those people who practice Hebrew. Yes. Now, my question is simple. What is the connection between those three events? Because if we look into history book and we search, by the way, the people that were deported from Spain, some of them moved to Italy, then to Italy, Greece, Turkey, Israel, North Africa, Egypt, and so Maghreb. Some of them moved to Holland, Belgium, Germany, Poland, Russia. Some of them went to Portugal, and then from Portugal continues with the discoveries of Colombo to North America or to South America. When we check this law, or Alhambra, how they call it, Alhambra decree, how it is reflected in the history books, it is perceived as Holocaust, or as like the expulsion of the Garden of Eden, because many people had to leave Spain, Catholic Spain, and to move. But I would like, yes.
If I'm not wrong, after the expulsion of the Jews from Spain in 1492, the city of Safed,
Yes.
Safat,
Yes.
received a large number of refugees, Jewish, and how can I say, a lot of rabbis, and then it came the Luria's school, right, with
Yes.
Cordovero,
Yes.
and
Yes. This is it. This is it. True, Rodrigo. So, though among some researchers and some people with let's say one single perspective of victim, it was horrible. But basically, since there's huge movement of communities all over the place, we have like new agents. So when people are trying to ask themselves how many people were deported from Spain in this year, it's between 40,000 to 100, sometimes more. It's not clear. But what people experience in the books is it was not also easy, because it did not come as fluent as I speak, that just people take a passport and leave, take an airplane or a boat. It's not like this. It was involved with violence and with tortures of the Inquisition, and it's not easy times. But all in all, it's not like one-sided story. Since there's great communities and wise people are enforced to leave Spain to different arena here in the Mediterranean and also North and South America, we experience a new, I would say, spiritual centers are popping all over the world. So we have new agents, because those people who immigrate or deported from Spain, they are like agents wherever they arrive, whether to Italy, North Africa, Safed in Israel, or let's say Germany and later Poland or Russia, whenever they arrive, they establish a spiritual center. Now, how this or what this fact has to do with the invention of print, or how the Luria stories weaved itself into invention of print. How are those facts connected?
Just a hint, I think that maybe the great fear of printed Hebrew Bibles becoming too popular.
Yes, yes, it is great, Felipe, because first we have agents which are moving. I call them agents, like communities, and then align with the invention of print, and people communicate between each other using books. They can print books and send them to others. So, in a way, we have a rising culture. Because if you remember, before the invention of print, only wealthy, extreme wealthy people could have access to books. And now, with the invention of print, we have also disseminations of idea through the print, through people immigrant to other, let's say, continents or other countries or other communities or other languages. So please remember this triangle. Here's Fernando. Everything is connected. Now the question is, why did I bring this topic now, and what this topic has to do with the internet and AI? Try to connect, try to think openly. Hello, can you hear me?
Shalom, Eti.
Shalom, Fernando.
Shalom, friends.
Shalom, shalom. How do you do?
I'm fine. I'm happy to be here. Unfortunately, kind of late, but instead, I'm still happy to listen to you, Eti, and friends.
So,
Eti, I
yes,
have
yes,
a question. I know
yes.
that I am like getting on the plane and taking the front seat. I know that I maybe you can evaluate if it is pertinent or not. But like as you are relating the capability of printing books and now the internet, and I am thinking about the Sephira Yesod.
Mm-hmm.
What if we could relate these upgrades in humanity with Sephira Yesod? Why I am saying this is that because these new paradigms that come by, they just they allow to people to join, to connect people, like here saw that is the connector with people.
Yes.
Like what happened to the printed, and also with telephones, and after with internet,
Yes.
and so on. I don't know if we can relate these ideas.
Yes, more people can come aboard. Yes, you're right. This is like Yesod, and Yesod was in charge of the covenant between heaven to earth. And yes, suddenly we have large communities which are exposed to education, to written text, to ideas. And we have like the blooming, how do you say, the Renaissance is blooming in Europe. Renaissance is like rebirth of the human spirit. And we have like beautiful art compositions, beautiful books, beautiful sculptures. People are discussing ideas, discovering new continents. People inspired to expand, to draw maps, to come and to map. I saw just today in the preparation ancient maps in which people, those who discovered a new continent, they come and cartography, they come and make, let's say, cards or like maps, and they try to map the name and what animals and what plants are growing there because it's unknown yet. So those are great times.
It is like breaking a shell, right?
Yes, yes, breaking a shell of darkness. Yes, definitely. And some people, I mean, the more people look into history and see the law, the deportation and the documentation of the Inquisition, and some people visit Spain's Inquisition cellars with physical punishment. It's horrible. But if we look at it from another aspect, it is they were deported from Catholic Spain. Spain, that in a way, this is the last end of what started Justinianus. This is the arch, and this is why I was thinking so much of to bring this idea. What started as Justinianus law, it's in about 555, something like that, Christian era. Justinianus law, who he just enforced people to be Christianized, and he deleted any coloration of any belief or practice or culture, historical, philosophical. He just, in his times, they closed the school in Athens. So, and here we arrive at 1492, the deportation from Spain, and we see in a way this is an arch that of 1,000 years approximately, which is being ended. Because it's not just that Columbus discovers America and there's new horizon for people to know. Soon, the invention of print in Germany will collide with a person called Luther, and he will translate the Bible into German, because at the moment the Bible is in Latin. And by translating the Bible first time to German, because until Luther times there are different villages and princeships, and each one speaks his dialect and write the way he hears. If he hears it right, if he knows how to read and write, it's not clear. But Luther, or his translation of the Bible to German, and then we have unified text in German, will crystallize different, let's say, I would not say princeships around one text. And in his translation, in the beginning, he will encourage people to inquire their belief, not to be like in the Catholic, what somebody says and I am subdued and I just obey. He encouraged people to search, inspired by the Neoplatonic school, but later in his time he will torture people too because they don't hold his belief. But this is another thing. What I would like to show is like two interesting points. 1,000 years of darkness of the Justinianus law being ended here with the deportation of Spain and discovering America. And we have a printed Bible, first in Latin, then in German, and a new horizon is being opened to humanity. In a way, we are standing on the same junction. How many years after? $500 and so. We are on the same junction now.
Eti,
Yes.
Once I read a book from a German author uh, that he's like the one of the Renaissance that was beginning to study Kabbalah, beginning to study the Hebrew text, and it's quite a beautiful book. The name of the author is Reuchlin,
Yes.
and he, yes, and he was friend from the Medici family, and he started to write books to let's say to praise the Hebrew knowledge, and to show how the Hebrew knowledge was amazing. And we know that we have a lot of, like the popes of the Catholic Church could stand in the power for 5 or 6 years. It was always exchanging popes because they were killed, or it was a fight for power, let's say. And I read a letter from him because he was persecuted from the Inquisition. But the Pope that arrived in that time was one from the Medici family. So he was very friendly, let's say, to him. But instead of this, he had to defend himself brutally to not be executed or something like this from the Inquisition. And his lucky was that it starts the Lutheran, the Protestant start, so
Yes.
he could stand in the shadow, and people forget him a little bit and look for the bigger problem. But it is quite impressive that nowadays, making this link, we are maybe that people saw what is happening maybe now, because only now we are seeing this diffusion of the Hebrew language and of the symbolism. And again, about the Yesod, that is not only what we see is what we get, is the capability of imagination and the sagacity and all the human virtues that lies inside of us.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Can you please read, Rodrigo? Do you have a connection?
Yes, that I'm here.
Can you please read what Eniola writes on YouTube?
Yes. And so perhaps Columbus was seeking a new land where the original Hebrew interpretation of the Torah could flourish without persecution, as well as any other faith. And, and then Niola, perhaps the suppressed sacred science that he emerged in the Renaissance evolved into the materialistic science of today.
Good questions. Very good questions. This is interesting because, yes, like in the new continent, they were not persecuted. They were a bit far. This is very interesting what you say. Also, due to what Rodrigo said, in this time people are coming from all of the Mediterranean, a flow of people. They arrived here into the center of Sephad. And Tzefat and Israel and Egypt and this area in this time, here it is, this is it, is under the Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire is what we call Turkey of our times. And the Ottoman Empire is in charge of the region Israel, Egypt, Lebanon, Turkey, and I don't have the accurate map, but it's quite vast. the Ottoman are quite tolerant, unlike the Catholic Church. They give a, let's say, cultural autonomy to people, and since all of this region is under the Ottoman Empire, Luria, who spends few years in Egypt, can walk to Safed because it's one region, it's under the Ottoman Empire. So this is very interesting time zone if we look into it carefully. The Ottomans are quite tolerant, and we have the printing, in a way, invention. So people can gather together, and here in Safed, many people who just ran or deported from Spain came into the center, and the merge of so many people together from so many different backgrounds, but that each and every one of them in particularly had an intimate connection to the Hebrew text, are meeting in one space or one place. This is Tzafat, and from this reunion of those different forces together comes I would say, spiritual explosion, cultural explosion. And those ideas that are cultivating together, the intimacy that they share together, large part of it is being written and is being smuggled to Italy. And in Italy, there are printing machines. I don't know how to call them in Hebrew and English. And in Italy, those books are being printed, and they are being, being eaten by everyone who is interested in culture and in relation to the spirit. Because this is the first time that people have an access to books, and not just rich people. And people are starving for spirit. And the books of Luria arrived on time. So all of those things are not happening randomly. Yes, there is a deportation from Spain. Great sages are wandering through the Mediterranean, reaching this blue point called Tzfat. True. Practicing intimate relation to the text, intimate relation between themselves, intimate relation to the spirit. Everything is documented, being smuggled to Italy and printed. And the thirst in Europe for spirit is huge after 1,000 years of darkness. You can imagine what is happening. Try to imagine what is happening in Italy in those times.
It's interesting. I don't really know the facts, but I guess that this expulsion of the Jews, the Hebrew, the persons who related with the Hebrew, was a beginning of the end of the Catholicism.
Yes. Excellent.
And it's like, as we say, it's needed bad. I guess I don't know the expression in English, but it was something terrible, and a change, and a lot of suffering, and being out of comfort. But we see that after this, there was so many flourishing in Italy and German. I mean, all the the Ashkenazi began this culture, and I mean so many things that we see after this, and I think we already spoke about this with our friends. It was surely it was the biggest mistake in by this kingdom of Spain, because uh, it was those two countries, Portugal and Spain, were the dominant economic uh, culture in the world in this period, and the decline of their domain began with this in this time, after I mean England took power to control, and so we learned here in Brazil. We learned about this because we were colonies of Portugal and Spain. So it is really interesting. They expelled, like they expelled the spirit in a way.
Yes. This is it. The spirit, very good. The spirit either go west, let's say, with Columbus, let's say, or it is they expel the spirit, because they also people move to Italy and here Greece and Turkey. Some go up the Rhine to Germany, and so Holland, Belgium, and they move
And
in. Yeah,
Renaissance, I, Renaissance in Italy wouldn't exist, I guess, because it was increased. The culture of Italy was increased in uh, an exponential rate.
Yes, that's right. That's correct and accurate. That's correct. True.
And just to say one more word, it makes me think about this uh, 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 unwished, unwanted things in us that many times we want to expel something that we feel that uh, it's hard to accept, and in a way we deny parts of us.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the spirit, we
Mm-hmm.
deny it, and we want to um, resolve, we want to you know to 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 meet peace again, the peace, the peace, the lowest peace.
Mm-hmm.
And we expel this, so to speak, these ghosts that hunt us, and then with them the spirit flies away, and we stuck with the body, we stuck with the very same or even worse issues that were hunting us before, because we do not accept and integrate these divergent parts of us. Uh, it's interesting to see this this aspect, psychological aspects in a level of empires, and so, because it's the same within the human being, and we see history shows us this in a beautiful way. Let's say, Spain began to decline and to die because she wouldn't accept these divergences in their own land, let's say.
Yes, it is great what you're saying, because now in our times we experience the same things. People refuse to accept diversities, and we see a nationalist spirit, nationalism rises in all over the place, in America, in Hungary, in Italy, in Greece, in Israel, probably more places. I just counted a few of them, not all. Yes, this is why I bring those topics, because those things are not changing. Their appearance in times might differ, but it's the same issue. The spirit has always the tendency to appear in different dressing, but people who let's say refuse to go with the spirit, they also refuse to accept diversities. And let's say the schisma comes with it, because they first refuse to accept it, and they don't integrate it, and then they see in it a foreigner, an enemy, and then they attack it. And this is where we are at now again. Yes.
It is quite beautiful what you are saying and what Felipe is saying as well. And I am just remember that the Hebrew is always a stranger in the land, right? Is the Gar, like the Gershon. Because the spirit it is always moving. You are not in control of the spirit. And I was reading the Psalm 1 and recording a podcast about it. And it speaks about the one who is blessed, that is the one who follows the Torah. And the Rasha, the evil, is the one who do not listen to the Torah. But it is, from what Felipe said, it is quite interesting that usually when we see the institutional and the collective, we and ourselves, usually we do not follow the spirit, we follow what we know, you know. Like what Spain did, you know, let's make it, let's take control of everything. Right.
Yes. One unified religion, one unified ceremony, one box that fits all. It doesn't work like this, no? But those things are not a coincidence or mistakes, because a new world is in a way rising of the ashes of the old ones. You see Columbus discoveries. We also have Magellan. I did not put everything on one map, but we see discoveries, and people have access to letters, to signs, to knowledge, to worlds. Until this is very interesting. Until the Gutenberg's time, I mean, 100 years before this printed book of Gutenberg, there was a great plague in Europe in 1350. 100 years before Gutenberg, the great Black Plague. 1/3 of the population of Europe did not make it. And there were many inquiries after the great plague there. And suddenly we find people who write books in medicine, because before the plague happened, people could not differentiate between magical thinking and medicine. Everything was mixed. And suddenly after the plague comes a doctor and write books about to separate magical thinking from just, let's say, cleaning habits or so, just to separate things and make order from this chaos. This is also, in a way, the plague in Europe is under this 1,000 years of Justinian's law. Darkness. People do not have access to what is right and what is wrong. Magical thinking all over the place. 100 years later, we have Gutenberg's first Bible, and then suddenly we have a window open. 40 years, please pay attention, this is not really a long time, but let's say here 1455 is the first Bible in Latin. It's about 40 years approximately later, and then we have this pendulum. On the other one side, in a way, the deportation from Spain, most of it was eastwards, but just spreading people because they are future agents of knowledge and education and culture. On the other hand, we have the discovery of America. So please pay attention, but look how things, because usually when people teach history, they take one point and dig it until the bare end, but there's a lack of context. Here, approximately, we have the plague. Just look at it. And here we go in a way to Renaissance. New people with new spirit will arrive both to North and South America with fresh horizons. Also, people will move in Europe, in Africa, in Asia with new perspectives. And then we have the new world. We are living in the same times. 500 years later, with a great shift in every dimension. So sometimes people that cannot accept the movement of the spirit, the rapid movement of the spirit, they close themselves down in their cage and declare on the other one that he is the enemy, intruder. We have to expel him, we have to kick him, and so this is quite childish, like 2 years toddler mind throwing tantrums. Yes, this is fascism. Like 2 years toddler throwing tantrum because he did not receive his chocolate. This is it.
It seems like an inability to integrate.
Yes.
Yes. Which is indeed it's not easy.
It has to do. Yes, Felipe. Yes, please continue.
No. It indeed is. It isn't easy to integrate all that we perceive, and it is the challenge, I guess, the one and only challenge, because you have to let's say put boundaries in things. You have to be able to separate and to distinguish between what it serves to you and what it's good and not good, and so. But this mindset that wants to control and to make this cleaning of everything, it never works out and brings a lot of suffering. And so because we must control something, I guess. We must be able to be conscious, and we do not have to accept everything, but we also cannot control everything. So it's a balance, I guess.
Yes, it is interesting what you say, because this is the distinctions that the Stoics are mentioning in their teaching. There are things which is in our domain or our control. There are things which are not in our control, like weather. Just an example, or what the government decides to, let's say, to publish a law. So what is in our control, we can take care of or relate to. Things which are beyond our control, we should not mess with them. It's like to mess with another mindset. So what is internal grow, the more we notice what is in our domain, or our, yes, I would say, jurisdiction. In Hebrew, they have those terms from the beginning. Rashut HaYachid, the authority of the one. Rashut HaYachid, the authority of the one, or the sovereignty of a person with his soul, this relations. And Rashut HaRabim, the authorities of the many. If a person goes, let's say, somewhere just to buy a book, but there is a demonstration in the street that the book that he wishes to buy is there, and there's a mob coming into the street and making demonstration and shouting. This person who came to buy a book, he might be swollen by this atmosphere of the populace, which is running on the street demonstrating, or people go out from a football game, they're rushing through the streets, or they're breaking things, and suddenly he loses, we don't have control. If a person with sovereignty, this is an example, with sovereignty finds himself in a scene in which people are rushing, demonstrating, throwing grenades or something, he's not in control, because the mob is governing the street. So it is most recommended not to go to those places when the mob, like to pubs or so, because there's like a general atmosphere of things. So who knows what someone will do in certain moments, and we're just doomed by who knows what. So it is most recommended, the sages are saying, also the Stoics later, Rashut HaYachid is the authority of the one. A person with himself thinks, sits, and cultivates. Those things we can control or in our hands. There are things which are not in our hands. If the next hour will be rain or not, this is not in our hands. But what I can do with the next, let's say, 60 minutes, this is in my hands or our hands, what I would like to do with this unit of time. So first, it's good to make a distinction. What is in our hands and what is not. And accordingly act.
It's beautiful, Eti, and it's so simple that makes me, if I may just share something that I care. It's a lot of. I care a lot. It is the prayer of serenity.
Yes.
I don't know if you know about it, but it's the most simple prayer, let's say, and saves many lives that are in in situations of issues, and so because it's simple as that. We cannot change some things we cannot change, and some things we can change, and we have to accept what we cannot change and have strength to change what we can. And the big deal, I guess, it's to have wisdom to know the difference between them, because sometimes we get blurred and confused about what we can change and cannot. I think it is what it's just what we can ask, I guess, from God, this distinction.
This is true. Yes, Venus writes Psalms 131. Thank you, Venus. I would like to thank you for being with us today, and I would like to wish each and every one of you, of us, look at this first ship boat of Columbus, one of the three. Look how little it is. But with a spirit, with a belief, this ship and two of her sisters discovered new continent and new life for all of us. And I would like, yes, and I would like that each and every one of you will go with his ship, with his Santa Maria, to a new continent inside of him, cross the Atlantic Ocean, starting in the mid of August in his inner heart, in the autumn, cross this Atlantic and reach to a new continent inside of his heart and in mind. This is a little boat, but driven by a great spirit all the time. So this is my wish for you today.
Amen. Thank you, Eti.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Eti. Thank you,
Amen.
friends.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Eti,
So much.
Yes, Fernando.
if I may share one thing
Yeah.
to close the session is from a lecture that you gave us once about about how a boat moves, and and you said that in that opportunities that is through ruach, through the
Yes.
wind, through the through the conversation, right? Through
Yes.
the manifestation of the word.
Through, yes.
So thank you so much for bringing us this spirit, Eti.
Yes, and
And
Fernando,
of course,
yes, and please continue with these conversations and create podcast and conversation, and yes, continue each and every one of you with poetry, with music, with research. Each and every one of you is a painter, a musician, a writer, a composer, a director of a movie. Continue with it. Continue with the spirit.
thank you, Eti. Thank
Thank you
you so
very
Thank
much.
you.
much.
Thank you so much, and shalom, shalom.
Thank you.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom,
Thank you.
shalom.